What's up, guys, and welcome back to another video on the channel. Today we're going to talk about paratroopers more in depth. We're also going to cover some really effective templates you can use with paratroopers in Hearts of Iron 4. But before we get straight into it, I think it's fair to ask ourselves if they're actually worth it. And personally, yes, I think they are worth it. Now let's get into why. And well, besides dicking around in multiplayer games, believe it or not, there are actually uses for them. But the best thing you can do with paratroopers is block out enemy supply for short periods of time. The right template, which I will go over in this video, you can block out for long enough to cause supply issues and make a decent push before it gets repaired. But there are drawbacks of using paratroopers. If you didn't know already, when paratroopers drop, they lose 90% of their organization, regardless of where it lands. So you can imagine parachuting on enemies doesn't exactly work very well. So that means you'll have to drop on tiles you think there won't be any enemies. Major cities and supply hubs may be garrisoned by enemies, so there's a pretty high risk, high reward factor for attempting to drop on supply hubs. In my opinion, the best place to drop in is on the railways connecting to the supply hub. This can cause a similar amount of damage, with the risk of the troops occupying the tile being much, much lower. Oh, and some other things to keep in mind while using paratroopers. While choosing a general use with them, try to find what the paratroopers trait. That adds in 10 extra days of supply. Combine that with the last stand, and your troops will be able to stay alive for much, much longer. Now, with that all being said, let's get started with the templates. So the first one I have for you today is the 10-width paratroopers with the engineer and logistic companies. These guys are pretty good intermediate templates if you don't want to spend too much on paratroopers, or you're a minor country and relatively poor. They can still accomplish what most things other bigger ones can do. Not only that, these are the best ones to drop behind enemy lines to try to encircle them, as they're relatively cheap, but doesn't necessarily make them weak. The logistic companies will help them ease the supply burden and let your divisions fight for longer, especially combined with last stand. The second one I have for you today is the 22 with paratroopers, with support artillery, logistics, engineers, and military police. These are more expensive, but majors should be able to afford this just fine. These are probably the best optimized to drop and occupy railroads to cut off supply. But now, if you're wondering why I added military police, that actually adds a good chunk of defense to your divisions. It really is an underrated support company, and I recommend adding them onto any defense divisions you make in the future. The next one I have for you today is the 16 with support artillery, logistics, engineers, and military police. These guys are more of a medium between the last two. I think it's the best general purpose division on the list. And keep in mind, these may be more on the more expensive side. Now it's time for the big guy, the 26 with 13 paratroopers with support artillery, military police, engineers, logistics, and anti-tank companies. These are the ones that you want to drop in the supply hubs. At the right time, you'll be able to cut out supply for weeks at a time. Now keep in mind to combine these with some last stands and a general with the paratrooper trait for the full effect. And the last one on our view today is the legendary 2 with. Now, despite what you may have heard, these guys are extremely good. These guys are equivalent to the troops sent on Operation American Guard, so if that doesn't change your mind, I don't know what will. No, but seriously, these guys are suicide paratroopers, and you'll probably get banned in multiplayer games, so just don't use them. And that's everything I have for you today. So I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, drop a like and subscribe if you haven't already, because it really helps out the channel. So see you guys next time.